Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BAME Interactive Zoom session. Now, BAME is Business Action Momentum Enterprise. BAME is just the affectionate term used for that. We are a community organization that endeavors to bring our people, our business people especially, from the margins more to the center, that they can compete. And also, we are very passionate about keeping the black pound circulating in our community. So we will give every support to black businesses, because the black pound is absolutely a prerequisite for us to create sustainability in our community. And today we have got a formidable lady of substance, Ebony Rose. To me, that's the Black Rose, Ebony Rose Financial Services. Now, Ebony, I know that you're a talker, but you talk a lot of sense, because I've listened to you. You're very inspiring. So without further ado, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself to the audience and let them know what you are about and how you can inspire and motivate them. Over to you, my dear lady.
Okay. I am hoping to inspire just through my testimony, to be honest. Rose Tinted Financial Services started at a time when it really had no right to start. I was suffering massive anxiety. I had a newborn baby, but I just decided I wanted to change. It had been in my spirit for years that I wanted to do something quite ambitious. So I went for like what I thought was like this, the easier route, which was going to university. I'm now a teacher, but I just still felt unfulfilled. It wasn't enough. And there was this passion. I call it my God calling. You might call it your inner voice, whatever you call it, to do something more. Even though the circumstances didn't look like the right time to start, I just walked in faith. I had issues with debt, and I dealt with a lot of big charities, and they were really like formal, and they'd send you like all the letters in the post, and there was a service lacking. And that's where Rose Tinted Financial Services was born. I decided I wanted to offer a service to women like myself that was a bit more personal, that actually took heed of the fact that actually mental health plays a part in your financial health. So yeah, that's where it was born.
That's good. Excellent. Now I have a few questions to put to you. You've just given us an idea of how it started, how you're at the Rose Tinted Financial Services. Can I just ask about why Rose Tinted?
My daughter's name's got Rose in there.
Yeah.
My daughter's name's got Rose in there, and because she was like one of my biggest motivations, I wanted her to have, it to be some sort of legacy for her. And then I was going through all sorts of crazy names came out of that motivation. But then I thought Rose Tinted, like positivity, and it took a couple of months, but it just came from sort of just trial and error, and it just fit. When it came, I knew it was right. So it's the idea of like a financial service with a hint of positivity, a bit of a difference. And it's not really the kind of name you'd expect to hear a financial services called, which is what I'm all about.
I was quite intrigued by that. I thought to myself, well, why is it called Rose Tinted? Because I do know that the conventional financial service is damn hard to get most things out of it. So when you mentioned Rose Tinted, I thought, look at it with rose tinted glasses. I thought so. I was always intrigued to find out exactly where it originated from. So yes, that's absolutely fantastic. I think so anyway. I know that you're a family woman, and So what advice do you have for fellow entrepreneurs that is juggling with the home life, work, and and other things that you do? I know that I've been told by my mom and my sisters and my daughters that that women are very multi-talented,
We
so I
are.
don't know if it's an innate thing that's come naturally or you've actually acquired these skills over a period of time.
I think they're innate.
Okay.
Me and Stella was talking about this conversation about a day ago. I think there's literal physiological differences and biological differences that when men and women are made, we can just naturally, I think because we are, with the, what am I looking for? We're going to have the children, with the child bearers. I think we're born with gifts to be able to sort of like balance things
Mhm.
just naturally.
Yeah.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah, Ebony. Hi,
So
Linda. Hi, Linda.
hello. Hi. So I think,
Linda.
that's okay. The problem is with when you have certain life events happen,
Hmm.
is that we get out of sync. I run a self-care group that I do with my business and ones that I do with my friends, a lot of them that are on here today. And what the things that tend to come up for women tend to be the same, regardless of your situation, whether you've got a man at home or whether you haven't. Or whether you don't have children. I have to shout out Marla and Shiv. We always end up talking about mom, sorry. But regardless of your situation, I think as a woman, your issues tend to be similar, because we're emotional beings. And that's why financial services that exist at the moment don't tend to suit women, because they don't take that into account. So that's why when I was starting out, I was like, oh, do I want to like do just the financial services for everyone? And I thought no, because I think that's a lot of the problem as well for an entrepreneur. Sorry, going back to the question.
Hmm.
We try to sort of change the world. God very much put in me, when I felt my calling, because I wasn't always, going to church. I wasn't always this spiritual. That actually my life and my struggles, I had to sort of fit my life around that. I couldn't try to change homelessness, or I don't know, like I'm not an artist. One of my friend Marla, like, she draws. Andrew's
Hmm.
a poet. I mean, Stella, she does food. Rihanna does a little side. A lot of the women I know, they are very unique in what they do. Linda's a counselor, so it's about trying to know who you are and not getting caught up in the social media frenzy of, okay, she's doing that. She looks like she's got money. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I mean, I do agree that I suppose the only thing we have in common, man, woman, human beings, but a man or men do, so I've been told, and I think I've proven it as well, we do not have sixth sense. So I suppose that's what you probably term as multi, you can do multifaceted things and what have you. But then, yeah, is one and watch the other at the end of the day. We can't be all be the same as you've actually said. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what he's basically saying, a good woman is good for a man and blah 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 blah. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Eve was made as the helper, although she led him astray.
Did she?
We're there to help.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, Ebony, what struggles have you faced as a Black female entrepreneur or momtrepreneur? Because I hear this all the time about the problems, never mind what the Black male has, but the Black female also, you know? So have you experienced anything that of a
Um,
negative situation?
I think, in a way, I always try to see the positive. I think the negatives that I've experienced working in big establishments, I work in a secondary school, where I'm the only Black person in my department. I think I'm one of about 7 in the whole school. But actually, I think that's been a positive thing because it made me more affirmed in that I needed to set up my own thing. So in a weird way, that was another motivation. I didn't want my daughter, although she's mixed herself, she's got some white in her, I didn't want her to have to mold herself to fit an establishment. I wanted to start something. As I've got a lot of strong Black women in my family who have set up
Mhm,
things for their
mhm.
children, I wanted to do that for her.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, experience teaches wisdom, and if the children cannot see, you can hardly expect them to do. So examples, precepts, and examples that you set, absolutely good for the children when they become adults, fit into place.
And I think there's a lack of role models, especially like where I'm from. Like I said, like I'm lucky that I've got a few within my family, but I think sometimes the biggest struggles is that you don't have somebody in your face doing exactly what you're doing. But that's where again it's that walking faith. You know, and this is where I would say to people, what is your source? What do you live your life by? What's your intention? What are you here for? You know, very much, although I'm a financial services, I do my women empowerment events. And I actually think that's one of the biggest parts about it all. Your finances are actually last. I was listening to a sermon the other day. Please stop me if I'm ranting, Bill.
No, carry on, man.
But actually, finances,
yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, go on.
I says, wait the tone and tell the people.
When I'm actually at the moment creating, I'm on for my next book. I've got my other one at the moment. It's just like a little 10-week Kickstarter. It's the Happy You Financial Planner. It took 6 months out of my life, 5 o'clock mornings, etc. But I'm on my way to another one because I think that finances is the thing that we focus on. But actually, I think there's 4 things that come before. I think it's your spiritual health. I think it's your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, and I think your finances are actually right at the bottom. And that challenges a lot of what the world portrays to us. But again, I don't get my knowledge from the world. I get it from the book, you know, the book of life. So, you know, women who come along with me, whether they're Christian or not, the journey that I take them on and some of the positive feedback that I've received, you know, in the early days that I'm doing this work, I think people don't realize that we need to flip everything on its head.
Absolutely. So really, when it comes to spirituality and faith, from what I'm reading, from what you're saying, seems to me that those are prerequisites for you, and those are the things that you would actually pass on to whatever audience you're actually dealing with. Because that's the foundation, isn't it?
Yeah. I recently realized, and this is what I mean, when you start your walk with God, you don't have a clue where it's going to end up. I've recently realized that my business is my ministry. And if you had said that to me 3 years ago, I'd have been like, well, what are you on about? First of all, I wouldn't know what ministry was because I'm recently saved and stuff like that. But I didn't realize that your ministry could be like different from just standing up and being like Sarah Jakes Roberts or Joyce Meyer on the telly. I didn't realize that God could use people in so many different ways. And I think that's another thing. I mean, me and you have talked about this, Bill. The church back in the day, I think have lacked education or depth in the Bible to actually understand what spiritual gifts actually are. Exactly. And the fact that they come in different forms.
Exactly. I think we also touched on the fact that there's progress as far as I'm concerned where the church is concerned, because before it used to come over as, you know, that you know, you were what's the term for it? You know, you're full of heaven and you know earthly good, because we must remember that we're here. We have to make the changes here. We know where we are at this point in our faith is actually saying, yes, there's better to come. But whilst we are here, what are we? We come here with nothing, we go with nothing. So in the meantime, we have to help one another. And I think even more so now with the way things are at this point in time, both, you know, public health wise and economics, you know. So the church has got to do, I believe they've got to do more, because they're the establishment, to me, they're the only establishment only institution that we as Black people have that has stood the test of time
That's
And
so true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's so
yeah,
true.
things mash up and fall along and all sorts of different things. So yes, they are a lot more is going to be. It's work in progress. I'm not going to knock anything, but
Yeah.
it's work in progress. You know. So yeah, whilst we're here, we have to do what we can, and we cannot keep preaching to the converted. We have to come out and go to everybody because we're all God's children and
Yeah.
help them to become sustainable. Because
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest problems we have in our community: lack of sustainability.
Yeah, and that's I think again that's lack of trust. We've been through a lot, haven't we, as a race? But one of the biggest changes in my journey was collaborating with a company bigger than me, and Marla. I have to give it to her on the phone. And this is why when you're doing your thing, you have to carry on because you don't know who you're inspiring. I saw a friend of mine, Marla, join with another company that was outside of what she was doing, or what her probably initial plans were, and that sort of propelled her to do things out of her comfort zone. And I'd got to a place, I mean, this was probably like my fifth entrepreneurial idea we've been through over the years on the phone. But I was like, I seen what it was doing for her, and I thought, well, I don't want to have another idea. And I knew this idea was the idea, and I just stopped. And I think in the Black community, sometimes, whether it's through trust or just sort of a lack of education, I don't know. At this part, I don't know if anyone wants to throw in and say what they think. We get to like a level, and then like it's just like there, and actually the level's here because actually, you know, when you look at, I mean, TD Jakes, I'm going to throw him in there. I love him. He's funny. He's, you know, I like his preaching. He in your mind straight away you might have thought, oh gosh, he's out of the realm. But actually, the promises of God is that you can live an abundant life. So with abundance, the word abundance, that's what everything's based on for me. Abundance means everything. So you can be abundantly wealthy, you can be abundantly happy. It's there, it's within our reach. It's not just a sign for the few Black people who are on the telly. There's also a lot of wealthy Black people in other quarters. I mean, you know, again, the media focuses on the unwealthy part of Africa, but actually there's a lot of millionaires, billionaires in Africa.
Of course.
And I think media, God's leading, I didn't expect to go here. Media is one of my biggest gripes. Like, I literally this week have had to take a detox, the last 2 weeks, if I'm honest, from social media, other than like the one-on-off posts with the business. But I think we're lost to these. I think the world is becoming lost. And I have to admit I'm part of that sometimes, but I think these control us now.
Well, yeah. Don't you think as well that when you talk about media, I mean, it's what you see. You're indoctrinated in many ways with the media, and it's and a lot of what is told is not anything. What comes over doesn't give us any sort of positivity. No. Don't you think that our community, it's very important to have what we call command and control. And what I mean by that is have our own media that tells and exposes the positivity of what happens in our community. I mean, if I say to you that a few years ago, Walsall, and it's not widely known that there were three dreadlocks guys in Walsall that were actually training dogs for the military and the police. But you never hear things like that.
I didn't know that.
You never, and it's not too far away from you. You never hear things like that because the man is not gonna, the way things are, because it's the inequality is structured. You're not, there's no way you're going to get, you'll have a little snippet and what have you from time to time, you know, on the back page about our athletes and so on and so forth. But when you come,
give them a little section.
Absolutely. So really, and then you cannot blame the man. We have to stop being inertia and get up off our whatever you call it and do things for ourselves and meet, because if we tell our story, then our young people can be inspired. You know, they will have a sense, because that's how they acquire a sense of worth. So there's and there's enough of us as Black people that are professional, that have got everything, we're fully equipped. It's just a matter of fusing us, I believe, you know, like with the qualities that you have in your experience and your professionalism and others. We've got enough. It's about coming together. I don't know if this recession that's looming and the inequality in health and whatever is going to bring us closer together. I hope to God it does.
I hope it does.
Yeah, I hope it does.
Because I feel like, I don't know why, I feel like it's the last chance. I'm not saying I know, you know, I don't know what's, but I don't know, like, what else will it take? If it doesn't take this, I don't know what else it's going to take.
Well, sometimes when people's back is against the wall, it brings out the best in us. So you never know. As you say, you've got your face. So probably Master God, I say, watch out, a Black man time now. So I'm sure some things are gonna have to come together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the French in me, that is. That's the French in me. So I speak French now. Anyway.
I ain't gonna try that live on air. It's not worth the embarrassment. I'll try. I can try off camera. I'll do mine off camera. But you know what? There's a scripture as well that I wrote down. Wealth gained by dishonesty will be diminished, but he who gathers by labor will increase. And what jumps out to me with that scripture is the word labor. Within the Black community, we are hard workers, you know, but it's labor can means real overtime, hard work coming together. I think we need to prepare ourselves, especially I would say my generation then, because I would say, you know what, the older generation, they're workers, they work hard. I think there's a bit of entitlement that you know, I've discussed amongst my friends. I think because we don't want for food, we don't want for internet, everything's just there. Sometimes it's an issue to seek and want more. But again, that goes back to the abundant mindset. If you don't think that it's within your reach, you're just going to accept and take what's there. But when I see God's favor in my life, the more I trust him and seek him, my mind just opens every couple of months. My mind just opens to I don't know, just what more there is to come. But sometimes we can be walking dead, which sounds strange. I mean, all you see on the telly is zombies, you know, but it's true. I actually think we kind of are like walking dead. The vast majority of population are just going with the flow. And I think from lockdown, this self-reflection time, we really do as a community need to look to each other and decide it's either time to collaborate or, you know, we can't just keep banging our head against the same brick wall.
No, we can't. You see, when it comes to most of what we're talking about in the last 5 minutes here is around religion stroke faith. Many people are not religious, but the common thread is that belief kills and belief cures. And the definition of that is faith. You have to have faith. Yeah. You have to. Which brings me on to this now. What changes do you think will help the Black community build wealth and counter the inequalities that exist? Because that is what is this. It's the structured racism that we've all been hearing about. Black Lives Matters, statues, but statues is one thing, get rid of statues. But what we want is new statutes, I believe. And I'm sure you'll go along with that also as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at our business structures. I don't know if anyone's read the book by Robert Kiyosaki.
I'm sure Carol has.
Yeah, Carol?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yeah.
Carol has.
And you know, there's so much within that book. I mean, what did you get from it, Carol? Because everyone who reads it, I think, gets different things.
I think for me, it showed two sides, and the mindset of someone who's wealthy but lived as though they were poor, and someone who was poor who made themselves wealthy.
Yes.
And it's the mindset, and it's learning and observing what you see to know whether you want to be there or you want to be different.
Yeah.
And, you know, you were talking earlier about the older generation. Well, I'll be 65 at the end of this year, and the older I get, the older I get.
That old? Wow.
Yeah. The older I get, the more adventurous I get.
What is she on?
Wow. 65. I need to know what cream you're using.
Well, you see, I'm into natural health. I'm into physical health and financial health.
Okay.
So if we could talk offline. This
I was
is
going to say, yeah, we need to talk. 65, not even one wrinkle. Wow. But then we've got the melanin. That melanin, you can't really pay for that. But no, yeah. I think, does he touch on it in the end of that book, Carol, about the employee mindset, investor mindset, business mindset, and self-employed? I think so. There's another book. Marla, what's that other book?
Is it The Business of the 21st Century?
Yeah. So he touches much more on it in that. But that one, I think that one is something that should be pasted on everyone's wall. The 1% of the world, they have multiple streams of income. I think it's 80, is it no, I don't want to lie. It was 93%, the 93% of the population tends to just be sort of employee or self-employed, or you've got that 3% just above them and underneath the 1% who have 2 or 3 streams of income. But that's what we need to learn as the Black community, not putting ourselves into one pot.
He's also got another book called The Cash Flow Quadrant, which talks about the business, the self-employed, the independent. Yeah, The Cash Flow Quadrant is another one.
That was a life-changing book for me, because I mean, in the middle of this lockdown, the amount of great businesses that didn't realize that they were actually self-employed, and like they just lost their source of income. A business doesn't require you to go in and stuff like that. So I think education is a really big part. And sort of those 5 pillars that we discussed before, realizing that spiritual, mental, emotional, physical and financial, that's the order, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Right here.
Carol's not sure. What's the order for you, Carol? It's fine. What do you think it is?
Okay. So I wouldn't necessarily put financial at the end, because it depends on how you determine financial. If it's financial that it rules your life, yes, I agree. But if it's financial that you're taking it in context, so God first, then your family, then everything else, it's all got to be in context. And because if your financial health drives you down a path where you commit suicide because it's not been addressed earlier,
that's true. It's an important issue. Dependent on the situation. I agree.
I was getting really emotional talking about that.
No, you're right. Because actually, the suicide rate in the middle of lockdown as I think it's 3 times as much as it was. Could have gone up more now. And obviously that was based on finances, because obviously the currency of this world is money. So when you don't have it, the mental struggles that you go through, well, it's money is freedom, isn't it? Money is the freedom, the ability to do things,
the ability to eat, the ability to have a roof over your head,
absolutely,
the ability to childcare. We need it, but it's how we use it.
It's so good. And that's what I try to do with women I work with, and I do really little what seem futile tasks. So like I'll ask them to track. Often initially you get the reaction of like, what do you mean? Track your spending, literally track your spending, whether that's through like an online app, or for me, I note it down every day. I'm old school. I like to know what I'm spending every day. But there's something about the consciousness of writing something down that makes you think, you know what, I probably shouldn't go and spend that £50 in Zara, because I'm going to have to write it down in my book. So I think sometimes we think the really small things don't matter. They matter more than you being able to do something and put it on Instagram and show your friends that you're doing it.
Okay. your financial planner, Ebony,
Yeah.
talks, your financial planner talks includes
I need
mindset.
this.
Yeah, mindset includes mindset. Why do you combine the two?
Because I think the two coexist.
Mind
It's
you,
kind of what Carol was just
you've explained
talking about,
a lot
actually.
about it anyway. Yes, I can understand. Yeah. But
Yeah.
reinforce
So
what you said.
everything coexists together. You
Mm.
can't just have them as separate entities. If your mental health isn't right, you're not going to manage your finances properly. If your finances are really dire, you're going to have poor mental health. So it's sort of, I mean, my first page, just to show the tone of it, is why do you want to take control of your finances? I think that that's a really big part of knowing what's going to keep you motivated, because remember, we're exposed to so much on a daily basis. You need to have something that motivates you, that gives you conviction to sustain. And it's really important that you don't just pick an answer that sounds good for the gram or sounds good when you communicate. It's a private journey. But obviously, in the world where everything's so public now with the media, I think we get lost, and we're not taking that time to get spiritual, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, to sort of just ground to where we are. So throughout the day, we're just getting lost by a sea of opinions and marketing campaigns and, you know, various different things. But I think having a planner, and this is why I developed it, for me, it's all the resources I created when I was building myself up. As much as it's just pen and paper, there's something so powerful about writing down your thoughts and your plans on a piece of paper that you can access all the time.
So what you're basically saying to me is that in this current climate, it's compounded the problems. Yeah. So what you're actually, your business, you know, unfortunate or fortunately, is a growth industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really, what we're basically saying also is that we must diversify. We must look at the landscape and see, differentiate needs from wants.
100%. That's in there. It's like you've almost read it, Bill.
Oh my God,
it's in there.
Yeah.
That was a big part of me paying off debt, because there's so many things that you think, oh, I need that. You don't need that pair of shoes. You just want them.
Seriously. So, Ebony, how do you stay motivated as an entrepreneur? Because I think that would be even more difficult than if you were an employee.
There's something about doing something that's your passion.
So you bless you.
Sorry. I apologize. Talk too much.
You need water.
Maybe I need to stop and think. There's something about doing.
Stop and drink, not think. You're thinking, okay, stop and drink.
There's something about doing something that you are just so passionate about.
Okay.
And, you know, that I just get to, for me personally, again, it does, you know, your source might be different, to give God the glory. Everything He's done for me. When I teach, I love what I do in front of the children, but I'm within the constraints of the national curriculum. You know, although I do try and throw in as much budgeting as I can and life skills, I'm confined. And what's amazing about being an entrepreneur, even though, I don't know, if I was to jot down my working hours, I think sometimes I'm doing 70 hours a week, including my job. But there's just something about the fire that it gives you when you've done something, like, and somebody messages you and they're like, you know what, you took me out my pit today. Or, you know, oh, I'm going to do this because you said that. There's just something that you cannot get from sort of being an employee, when you've built yourself from the ground up and you've created something that does that for people. I don't know, it's just really inspiring. So anyone out there with that idea that's in your heart, and because everyone's purpose was something, I think try and just walk in it blindly. 3 years ago, I would not have said I'd have been here. But just walk with it and go and give it the time. Give it the time it needs to grow.
Well, it appears to me that you found your ministry.
Yeah, I think I have.
Mm. You absolutely, absolutely. The passion, and you see the need to help. You know, as you said, 3 years ago, you wouldn't have you wouldn't have thought, but you're led, you're led, you're led. It's something totally different here now, Ebony. There's a lot, as I touched on before, around Black Lives Matters and, you know, structured racism, the need for transformative structural change and what have you. And a lot is spoken, a lot is talked about, but the symptoms. Can I ask, do you think, I know education got a lot to do with it anyway, because a lot of ignorance from the host community towards people of color and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Do you think that children as young as, say, 5 should be taught about history, not Black history, but the Black contribution in British history, to get an understanding more than when they leave school, because they're not going to be taught in the home about that anyway, more than when they leave school, to, you know, to develop these tendencies.
Yeah.
You know, so because I was talking to a couple of teachers and they believe strongly that the curriculum should embrace that, and it should not be
100%.
October, shouldn't be October Black History Month. History, British history should include the history of our people also as well, that people can get an understanding. That we haven't come here to scrounge, we're asked to come here.
Yeah. And actually the curriculum should reflect that. I actually remember, who on here went to Marla again. I remember being, I think, 12 or 13 and watching Roots in the middle of the classroom. And, you know, it was, I don't know how to describe it. It was degrading. It was awkward. I still now can't see the point in it. I suppose I think it was Black History Month probably. But I didn't see how it was empowering. I know there's parts in there that you can, but I didn't see how it was empowering for my male white teacher to put on Roots and just like have me sitting watching it. I think it's a poor effort. It's a poor effort to show many people in chains in the middle of school.
Like many other Black films as well, that, you know, what is it, 12 Years a Slave or whatever, you know, where's the positivity that comes out of it? That we're only good to show the negative about, and that's why our young people, if you can't see it, you cannot be it. I'm asking you this because you're a teacher, and you that must be part of your understanding.
And you know what? That's another thing that motivates me to stay in my profession. There will get a point, and it's coming, I suppose, where I may have to step down, but I still will go within schools. I think that's something that I will somehow put into like my ministry, whether it's like workshops or something, because I remember, maybe she might watch this, Siobhan, you know who I'm going to mention, Dulcie McKenzie, my college tutor. She inspired me like to a whole new realm. She was just so like into her Black community. She made sure all the work that we were looking at, even though we were doing health and social care, it was diverse, it was something that we could see, and she was just unapologetically Black. She didn't edit herself. You know, she's well spoken, because we have this conversation about a professional voice. This is something that people like to talk about, that we edit ourselves at work. My mum talks differently to when she's on the phone at work to when she's at home. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
And it was the same for Dulcie, but seeing a Black woman who was like a college lecturer, and you know, she had so much going for her, that changed my life. Like, I didn't realize it at the time, but that changed me. And I think that's where we need to continue to be aspirational as Black women, because you just don't know what you're doing. You know, the future generations that you're going to inspire. Like, she probably wouldn't have known the inspiration that she was to us. And I have to mention Shiv, our name, what's her? Fu, There was no, what's her name? Jean, thank you, Shiv. Jean as well. You know, two college lead, and one was the lead. You just don't know what you're inspiring.
Yeah, it's
Change that you're inspiring in the future.
that is so true. That is so true. It's the more tangibility we show, the better we are going to be, and the more we're going to help our people. Because back to the point, if you don't see, you can hardly be. So yeah, you're a living testimonial of that.
Thank you.
You know. So Rose, what are the plans for Rose Financial? Future plans.
I'm walking with faith. If I'm honest, every couple of months I get a new idea. At the moment, I am trying to pick myself up to do a podcast. This will be a good sort of dummy run for me to see whether I'm capable. Because again, even that, like, I want to be I want to be very frank at the fact that I don't just get up in the morning, first of all, and look like this. And secondly, feel this confident. I literally have spent 2 hours in the Word and just playing my music and just in the realm. I even sent my fiance off. I was like, look, I need to be calm. The butterflies was trying to start. I've been fine all week. Didn't sleep last night much, but it's what you do to prep yourself. Everything that I've done up until this point, I didn't realize, like the little weekly Zoom meetings and stuff that I've been doing and picking up, it all built to this moment. And actually now doing this now, I'm like, yeah, I can do the podcast. But I really want to stress the idea that I don't just get up feeling like, you know, hallelujah every day. It doesn't, I have to do my positive habits. The days that I don't get up and say 5 things that I'm grateful for, I have a different type of day. The days where I don't have an hour away even from my daughter. I think mums, we do a lot of self-sabotage. I need to do everything for my kids. I'm no use to my daughter if I'm a nasty Ebony. Do you know what I mean? Like, so me taking an hour to sort of give her to somebody or create some space away from her, she's going to prefer me than like a mum who's impatient.
So how many Ebonies?
I'm sorry, Bill.
How many Ebonies are there? More than one?
There's probably about 3.
3, okay. A good in between and up.
Yeah, one that's kind of like this, life and soul, one that burns herself out when she's like had like a month working hard, and then one that's just somewhere in the middle.
I think you share that with 99.9% of the population. So you're not on your own, I'm sure. Now, okay, we're coming to a close shortly. What steps could someone take, someone who's watching, to start their side hustle, as it's used so often, or passion idea right now? What would you say, you know, someone, of course, you're going to tell them how they can get in touch with you anyway.
Yeah.
You know, that people offline want to speak with, want to meet with you to talk further on the services that you provide. So you can give that, but you know, just in a few words.
This is gonna scare some people. Action something within the next hour.
Frighten them.
Do something within the next hour whilst you're motivated. If you've watched this and I've touched a nerve and I've done something, do something within the next hour that is going to bring you one step closer to your goal. Every time we get exposed to a word that sort of lights up our soul, we should be trying to do something physically. God shows up in movement. Also, momentum naturally follows from when you make a step. I would like you to learn from things that I did. I spent years listening and reading, which was great, and I think it built me to this point. But if you are feeling stuck and it's just, you've just had enough, try and action something straight away. If that's too much, and you know, try and action something within the next 24 hours. Break down your steps into big goals. Start getting up early and practice gratitude. And I'll stop there. The rest, you know, one of the events or something, but that they would be like my top 3 or 4.
Absolutely fantastic, Ebony. That's brilliant, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm sure that you've inspired a number of people. And I'm also sure as well, I have to go to Auntie Carol, who's the administrator. I'm sure there's probably people who would like to ask you further questions. Auntie Carol, are you ready?
There's nothing on the chat, but one of the things I would say is a strong motivator is having a very strong why. Why do you want to do what you want to do? That has got to carry you through when times are tough. And you pray through your why. I was almost in tears today because some of my why for doing what I'm doing is to help other people, especially those with cancer who can't afford the natural health solutions to chemotherapy and stuff. And it breaks my heart. I've got 2 people who are very close to me who are in this situation.
Yeah.
And a very strong why. There's a very good book as well. I don't know if you've heard of it, and I can't think what the author's name is. I've got it downstairs. It's Questions Are Your Answers. It's an amazing book, getting you to dig deep into why you want to do. Is it financial freedom? Is it to pay off a mortgage? Is it to help family? It goes into lots and lots of detail. And it was recommended to me. And I've started reading it. I'm only halfway through, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Our why, if it's God-centered, will carry us through, even through the hard times.
So true. So true.
Anybody else in the group would like to ask a couple of questions? Come on, roll out now. Come on, don't be shy. I'm sure there are questions to be asked.
Or even if you want to share, is there anyone who is doing something that they sort of might action something and they want to tell us? Linda, you're on mute. You're on mute. Yeah, we can't hear you. Oh, there you go.
Oh, hi, Ebony. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hiya.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And we are.
I really am proud of you. I'm proud of the inspiration that I get from you. I'm proud of your consistency. And from the things that you've said today, it's been really inspiring because we're all at different points in our journey. And I know there's a temptation sometimes, particularly when you're running a business, to present as if everything's okay all the time.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you can break down the reality of life and running a business and the challenges that we all face. And it's very real, it's very down to earth, but it's also very gentle because it's also inspiring.
Thank
I haven't
you.
got any questions that I would like to ask because
Thank you, Linda.
the time that I've just come
I
on.
don't take compliments well. Sorry.
But I'm going to give it.
Drink some water.
Yeah, I haven't got any questions because you're more or less to answer them.
Thank you.
So in the short space of time that I've been on this platform,
You do the same for me as well, Linda.
Yeah.
I mean, we met through and it's the same. And I think even that, like, if as Black people we can come together positively and make the connections like what me and you have. I mean, we're new friends relatively, and just be a bit more open and trusting. I just think we can do some amazing things.
Absolutely. And there's one thing I want to say as well, is that where we meet in the middle or where we overlap, that's great. It's okay to have differences.
Yes.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
We don't all have to agree on absolutely everything, but at the point that we can, we work on that.
Yes.
Because we are so multifaceted. We're also multi-talented, but we've also got different opinions. And if we wait until we find someone that thinks exactly the same way on every single subject matter, it's not going to happen. So where do we meet in the middle? Where do we share our values? We can collaborate on those elements and leave everything else aside. You know, so I just wanted to say thank you. This is a really refreshing way to my Saturday evening. It's given me lots to think about. So I'm actually thinking of, in the next hour, what is it that I can do? There are things that I avoid. I hate with a passion, you know, being in front of a camera. That's something that, and I'm learning now. I am actually saying, you know what, let me move out the way. And little things like seeing you, you know, you've been brave in doing that. That's not my forte, but I would like for it to be, because there's things that I also want to do that I've worked hard for, just as you have, and you're owning it. and that's been really inspirational.
And you look lovely. I like what you're wearing. You look gorgeous.
Yay.
You look good.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you
Can
so
I
much,
just say
Ebony.
something to the lady?
Hi.
Yes, good evening. You
Hello.
can become a member of our
Uh-huh.
business club.
Okay.
I think you would find it extremely rewarding.
Okay.
So what I will do is, if Carol, hello Carol.
Yes, William.
Yes. Have you got the lady's details? Then I can further
It's
give
all
us
on the website as well, Bill. You know where you registered, Linda?
Okay. I'm not very technical. So there you go. There you go, Linda. But I do think it would be rewarding for you to actually have a conversation with us, and we can tell you the benefits of becoming a member of our business club.
Brilliant. At this point, I'm sorry, guys, I have to leave. So I'm going to say bye-bye. I've got to go. I'm so sorry, but thank you.
Thank you.
Recording the rest of it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for talking.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Done. I think it's well done, Ebony. I don't know if I'm on mute or what, if I can be heard, but well done. Very inspirational. Very inspiring.
I let the Holy Spirit do the work. I can't take the praise for that.
No. We know, we understand. We understand. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on doing what. Any other takers? Any other takers in the room? Give a testimonial or what you just say something.
Hello guys.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Hi. Sorry. It's dinner time, so we're just. My phone died. Sorry.
What you having, soup?
No, not today. Not today. It should be Saturday soup.
What
but
you having?
No, we're having a replacement meal today. Something
What's the
equally as
replacement?
healthy.
What's the replacement?
What we're having?